Do you both remember when the parrots got loose inside of the Paramount Theater? We had that parrot nonprofit organization and the parrots got loose.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
And if I remember correctly, it was during a commercial break, but like the parrot flew across the stage and took a and it like landed in somebody's beer. I think that happened.
Yes. Oh my God. You're in lots of memories.
Yeah.
Or I've just told the story so many times and embellished it so many times that is now the story. But I think that's pretty close.
Yeah.
I think
That's how
pretty
we
close
remember
to
it
what
now.
happened.
That's the story now.
That's the
That's
story.
so funny.
Welcome to Beats Working, winning the game of events, where we share stories and strategies to turn any event or life moment into something unforgettable.
Events are wild, and the people who work in them are some of the most resilient humans on Earth. If you know, you know.
So come with us behind the curtain for a look at their most memorable experiences.
As they say, the show must go on, so let's get on with the show.
Welcome to Beats Working, winning the game of events. We're so happy to have you here, and we are actually even happier to have our guest here. That's right.
So happy. So happy.
Oh, so happy. Again, this is another guest that we go way back with. I don't go
Way
as far
back.
back with as Elise because she has a much deeper relationship with this person.
That's a nice way to say that I'm older. That's nice, Libby. That's nice.
You just known her longer.
Just
Be-
since she
Bethany's
was
still
born,
younger.
but it's fine.
Bethany's younger than
Just
both
she-
of us.
It's true.
So-
That is definitely true.
Bethany Calhoun is the owner and lead planner of Pink Bubbly Events based in Phoenix, Arizona. But don't worry, folks. She travels. You're in Phoenix, she's got you. You're in Scottsdale, she's got you. You're in Paris, then she's definitely got you.
Oh, yeah.
You're in Seattle, she'll fly there. Yep.
Oh, yeah. The girl's not afraid to hop on a plane. She's got 12 years of experience in the event industry. And I actually had the extreme pleasure of working with her years ago, probably at the very beginning of those 12 years. She is just a complete mastermind. She is so great at guiding couples through the wedding planning process, relieving their stress, ensuring that they just have the best time ever and don't worry about all those little nitty-gritty details that can keep a bride up at night or maybe turn a bride into Bridezilla. I don't know if anybody here knows one of those. And Bethany, we are so excited to dive in with you. I want to ask you a question that has been just running around in my brain since you said, yes, I will be on your show.
Ooh, okay. Great.
What is the single most delusional budget item you've ever been asked for by a couple? Because I know that I have had people say, hey, can you get a Ferris wheel in there? Our event budget is like $10,000. How do we get a Ferris wheel?
I only asked for that one time, and you keep bringing it up.
It was one time, but it was so memorable because we couldn't afford the insurance on a Ferris wheel. So she's never done it since. Thank you, Elise.
You're welcome.
Bethany,
What a
tell
great
us.
idea, though. That's amazing.
A great
Thank
idea.
you.
So good. One day. That's a bucket list item for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, probably like people are trying to haggle me for my prices.
Rude.
So I wedding plan and then I also wedding coordinate. So in that like department, people their venue either requires them to have like a venue coordinator, and so that's not in their budget. So I've literally had people be like, I have $600. Can you help me? And I'm like, no, honey, that's crazy. That's like what you give your sister's cousin to help you. Like, that's not it. So probably just not like having enough room, because people don't think that a wedding coordinator for the day of is important until it's almost too late. It's like 3 weeks before their wedding and they're like, oh my gosh, who's gonna move the flowers from point A to point B? I should hire someone to do that. And then it's the end of what they've spent for everybody else. So that would be one of them. Another one I think is people don't want to spend quality money on things that they think are like insignificant, which to them, they think that a DJ or an MC is insignificant. And I'm like, that's what you spend the most money on. That's like your voice for the day. So people try and be like, I don't know, $1,500 for that. And that's not quality. But those would be the top two, I think.
I agree with you about the day of thing. People don't think about it.
No,
because you just don't, you just can't think about that. You just think everything's going to be planned and then it's going to be fine. And then you don't think about who's going to wrangle your family to get into this photo or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I did think about it. And the person who was supposed to do that is actually on the call today, but I was trumped by an emergency heart surgery situation. Still not over.
It was one time.
I know.
One time, just like the Ferris wheel. Yes, I had offered to be Libby's day of wedding coordinator as my gift to the happy couple.
So
which
generous.
Is a big gift, because also if you have a person do it who is your friend or a family member, they don't fully get to enjoy the day because they're bossing and doing behind the scenes stuff.
And we know I love bossing. Like we definitely know I love bossing. Mm-hmm. And it was the Monday before Libby's wedding. And I had been having some unfortunate experiences. I later learned they're called anginas, which let's just talk about. That's an unfortunate word. Like nobody wants to say I'm having an angina. Right?
That's awful.
So I was at the doctor to have a stress test, and I had one of these anginas, which, newsflash, they're like a baby heart attack. They're like a news alert that a heart attack's about to happen. And I had one in the middle of the stress test, and they were like, okay, now we're going to send you to this lab. And I didn't really know what that meant. And I was like, okay, I just need to call Libby because we were supposed to meet and go over her binder of all the directions because she put all that together because she's a control freak, let's be clear. And so I was calling her and like, hey, I have to go to this lab thing. I don't know how long I'm going to be here. And the doctor was like, no, you're going into heart surgery. You're not going to a lab. I'm like, well, that's what you said. So anyway, yeah. So then I went into heart surgery and I was not able to make it to Libby's wedding.
And
we laugh now. I've never forgiven her.
I don't laugh,
but
I don't think it's funny.
Well, we laugh now because it was a long time ago and because now you are healthy and great. But we do wish you would have been there. Well,
I was definitely there in spirit. Definitely there in spirit for sure. But
we'll have another
wedding. I don't want to flex here, but I was at Bethany's wedding.
I know.
You were kind of my unhired like social media.
I was running the social media video content.
We don't even need to talk about this anymore. I just turned 40. Do we really need to keep throwing salt in my wounds?
Well, how many years have you been married? Can you have like a vow renewal where Elise can redeem?
That's the spirit, Bethany.
We could. Next year will be 10 years.
Woo!
See?
Wow. Incredible.
But yeah, one of these years. Maybe for the 20th.
Next year. Okay. All right.
I can even get ordained and like remarry you.
We could do that. Let's do that.
Fun. Let's be fun.
I'm ordained.
We'll go to Hawaii.
You're ordained. I can't even say it. You're ordained.
Yes. And I did that specifically because there have been multiple instances where the officiant will just leave after a ceremony, be like, okay, I did my job. And they just go home and then they've never signed a marriage license. So I'm like, I'll do it for you. Like I didn't perform the ceremony, but like no one from the government is calling you and saying, did Bethany Calhoun actually perform your ceremony? Like, no, but she was there and
that's so smart.
Yeah.
That is so clever. That's a really good tool to have.
It's a good flex. Mm-hmm. That's a good flex.
Yes, it really is.
One of my like special, 2 truths and a lie game, and like people don't believe it, but yeah, it's coming very handy.
So let's go backwards a little bit though, because when did you know that you wanted to have a career in events? And maybe Bethany, share with us if there was, I don't know, maybe a magical summer where you really got to get your feet wet with event experts in their fields, like the best in the business, at least say, I don't know, in the Pacific Northwest. Like, what did that look like for you? How did this all start?
Yes. It was the year of our Lord 2013. Gosh, that was a long time ago. And I had the incredible opportunity to intern at the Seattle Met magazine under, drumroll, two of
Dun,
you
dun,
guys.
dun.
Libby was my direct boss. I worked in the, I think I already said this, events and marketing department, and learned a lot about the event business, corporate side, put on several incredible events. And then simultaneously, I also worked and interned with The Invisible Hostess, a wedding planning company in Seattle. And I actually think that you just had their incredible owner, boss lady, Sheena Kelso, on as well. So dove into weddings and dove into corporate fun events. Very different, but like still kind of had the same structure. So I got the best of both worlds. I just kind of absorbed as much as I could and kind of chalked it up to like, that was such a fun summer. And then I went back to college and finished with a business communications degree, and then immediately went into the corporate world and worked very, very boring jobs, like as someone's assistant and as an office manager. And after a couple years there, was like really feeling for some passion. I just was like craving something different. I wanted to use my God-given skills, and I reverted back to that amazing summer that I had and learned, and just really was like, how do I incorporate how incredible that was into something now? And at the time I was living in San Diego. And so I just sat down and I was like, I'm just going to research and reach out to any event professional that I can find within a 20-mile radius. And so I sent emails to venues, photographers, photo booth companies, caterers, like asking, do you have volunteer work? Are you hiring part-time? Do you know someone who's hiring? Can you point me in any direction at all? And I got several responses, and I had a couple interviews. And then one opportunity came through where they said, we're a venue, and we're looking for like a part-time venue manager. So to just literally sit in the office while an event is going on. You just make sure that the smoke alarm doesn't go off and, people don't break stuff, like essentially is the job. And I was like, cool, let's do it. So I started there, and like an in-house coordinator kind of took me under her wing, and she was like, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. You are going to meet hundreds of people over like in one day at one event, and they just see you as a person like of authority in charge. They just see you like carrying the clipboard and having a little name tag. They don't know that you didn't plan this event. They just know that you're in charge. So just start telling people that you're a wedding planner. Just start telling them. And I was like, okay, cool. So I just kind of introduced myself as like, oh yeah, I'm Bethany, the wedding planner. And after like literally 3 to 4 months of that, I had someone be like, I want you to plan my wedding. I was like, well, shoot. Okay. Like, I guess I need a business name. I need a website. I need business cards. Like, it just kind of steamrolled so quickly. And so that was a side hustle that I did from my corporate jobs. And then it turned into something where I could quit my other jobs. And this has become my full-time job. And all these years later, and it's been amazing.
I love that.
That is so fun.
Is it because you love Bethany, or do you just do? I mean, let's be clear. Everybody loves a clipboard, and if you don't, like, you're listening to the wrong podcast, right?
Yep,
I mean,
so true.
clipboard. Whoever holds the clipboard is the person in charge, for sure.
Yes,
I'm so passionate about clipboards.
You really are.
So yes, I think it honestly, like, I didn't love weddings. I think I got. This is terrible to say because I'm a wedding planner. I kind of got pigeonholed into wedding planning, and I don't really know how to break out of it. I love them. I think that they are so special. I think that couples that hire me, like, that's so much trust. Little girls have been dreaming of their wedding since they were little, and there's so much pressure, and they want it to be perfect. So I feel very, very fortunate and very blessed that they have entrusted me to have a small part of it. But I think if I could go back and choose from my magical summer wedding planning versus funner parties, I think I would go that route to do just a variety. But I love it. I think that like marriage is so special, and like wedding planning is very emotional. So when brides come to me, like I'm helping you plan a day, but at the same time, I'm giving marriage advice and I'm giving counseling when their, maid of honor has screwed up, and I'm helping them through family drama. And so like there's so many layers to wedding planning that I didn't really think would happen. But yeah, I don't even remember the original question.
Does that ever exhaust you? I mean,
I'm exhausted just listening to all that.
Yeah. And like, how do you keep your emotional and like physical strength and like patience going when you are like in an event, on event day, when you've got 12 hours at least of things to do and moving around and shuffling people around? How do you stay nice and not collapse from exhaustion?
I think on event day, there is an energy about the room that every single person that has been hired, whether it's like my team, so I employ assistants that work with me on wedding day, whether it's like the catering staff, whether it's the DJ and his team, there's just this energy that's like, we have been building this probably for the last 18 months to 2 years, and this day is finally here. And so we're excited to see everything come into fruition. But the days are long. There are times where I will get home from a wedding like after midnight and sit on the couch, and it'll trigger like, this is the first time I'm sitting down today. And so it's a beast. Like you really have to be prepared to be yelled at, especially as a planner and a coordinator. Like if the food's not ready on time, somehow that's the planner's fault. If the cake didn't get delivered, somehow that's the planner's fault. So you really just have to have a thick skin and take it. And you have to just remember that like they're stressed because they want it to go so perfect. And, they're not mad at you. They just got so many emotions bubbling up. I think it just takes like a emotionally strong person, a physically strong person to be on your feet all day. Like you just got to work out physically. You got to vent to somebody. You got to, lift up your own spirits. I don't know. It takes a lot. It's a lot of work.
So what do you do to prep yourself for a day like that? And that could be like, is it making sure you get enough sleep the night before? Is it packing certain snacks, certain shoes, certain outfits because you're going to be schlepping stuff? Like what does it look like for you the day before the big day?
So for me, I kind of have my go-to standard wedding outfit. So I pick between like 2 black dresses. I always have a pair of like black Spanx shorts under them. I used to in my early years of my job, I used to wear like the cutest, most comfortable shoes I could. But after losing 2 toenails, just with digging them into cute shoes, I was like, screw it. So now I wear all black Adidas and nice compression socks. So those are my go-to.
Sexy.
I make sure even a couple days before I drink tons of water with electrolytes, because on wedding day, I'm so busy that I don't even drink water. So I have to like really hydrate up beforehand. I have a backpack, a little fanny pack that is, it has snacks, it has breath mints, it has a jacket, things for me. And then I also I call it my bride box, but it's this little pink duffel bag essentially. And it's full of like any item ever that someone could ask for, a bride.
Like pasties?
Yes. Safety pins, a tied to go stick, fishing wire, tape of all sorts, like anything that's in there. So I always kind of do a check to make sure that everything's in there, like lighters for candles. So just
batteries,
make sure that's already. What was that?
Like batteries?
Yes. Yeah. I think I only have double A's at this point, but I also have those flat circular ones because those are specifically used for neon signs. Mm-hmm. And there were like 2 times where I showed up to a wedding and there was no battery in a neon sign. I was like, okay, I'm going to go order that. So I always have that with me. And then I also do walkie-talkies. And I actually learned that from you, Libby. So I have little headsets and have to charge up my walkie-talkies Yep. And constantly.
They're so helpful.
I used to do like texting on my phone and be mad when my assistant wouldn't get it because it's in her pocket. And I was like, well, I'm just gonna take a page out of Libby's book.
Is there any more powerful feeling than holding a clipbook and wearing a walkie-talkie? I don't know that there is.
You can do anything.
Yeah,
you are on top of the world.
Especially if you're wearing compression socks and Adidas sneakers.
Yes.
Which this episode is not brought to you by Adidas, but if anyone from Adidas is listening, it could be. Yeah,
it could be. Please sponsor me. I go through so many pairs.
What is something memorable you've had to fix with your bride bag?
Oh, that's a great question. I feel like I use fishing line more than anything else.
Okay, what do you use it for? I mean, I think you would use it, but like, tell us what for.
So it's a couple things over the years. So I will like, at one point, a bride's bouquet like kind of fell apart. So you just kind of like circle it up and tie it. It's a great way to like hang things like neon signs. If they want their like something to hang off the end of their table that's not attached to a wall or something, I just kind of like drape it over the table with the linen and just tape it underneath.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it comes in really handy.
What a hand. I know I might need to just stick that in my own bag to have with me at all times.
Yes.
What's your favorite moment of a wedding? Is it the first look? Is it the first kiss?
That's really sweet.
The end?
I really love 2 moments. I really love like sending the bride down the aisle. So like you line up the bridal party. She's always in the back with her dad. And so you send them down. I always like remind them to take a deep breath, smile, watch where you're going, whatever. I send them down the aisle. And then I kind of loop around and I hold the bride's train. And we're waiting for her song to change so that she gets to walk down her own moment. And so she's, nervous. She's with her dad. And I'm just like kind of expressing like blessings over her. I just, from her backside, holding her train, I'm just like, this is your day. You get to marry your person. Take a deep breath, soak it in, take a look at everyone there that is supporting you, take your time. Or run down the aisle to your husband, like whatever, just this is your day. So I think that is like one moment. And then in the reception, when they are grand entered, so guests are seeing them almost potentially for the first time since the ceremony, I recommend you grand enter and then go straight into your first dance because you've hooked everybody's attention. The adrenaline is going. So just getting to see everyone support them and cheer for them in their newlywedness and then get to partake in their first dance. I think those are like my top 2 moments. Aww. And then, I mean, top 3 is at the end. I always recommend having like a banger song, like so that you can scream sing at the last song of the night. So seeing, drunk people that are so tired because it's late, but scream singing the Killers on the dance floor is like top 3 moments.
That's a classic way to close out a wedding, though.
So good. Yeah.
Everybody leaves feeling good on a high.
Yes.
I mean, they might not want to leave, but
they
don't.
Will. They don't. But we flick those lights on and they're blinded. So they're like, oh, get me out to the parking lot where it's dark again.
Have you ever had and it's okay if you don't want to share this, but like the worst possible thing went wrong that you had to fix on the fly?
Oh, sure. Yes. So very recently, actually, there's this venue up north in Sedona where it's very beautiful. It's very gorgeous. It's called Tlaquepaque. And it's essentially like a shopping center that converts into an outdoor venue space once the shopping center is over. So because it's a shopping space, they're so strict. They do not let you set up or even unload your things until 5 p.m. Like this, all the stores have to close. So you get to start setting up at 5 p.m. and the ceremony has to take place at 6:15. So yes. So it is the most chaotic 45 minutes to get things out of to get chairs out of the truck and for the rental people to set up and the caterers to get all their stuff. So you already go into that day being like, okay, everyone, like you're on your A game. We only have a certain amount of time to set up. So once I send people down the aisle, then I'm back setting up reception table items. And so you're just constantly moving. Like this is a day where you're not sitting down. So I had a bride from Phoenix that she and her family drove up. You know, it's 2 hours, a couple days before. And so they're there for the entire weekend, prepping, you know, having fun festivities and things. And we get to wedding day and realize at 5 o'clock when I'm unloading all of their stuff that she has left half of all of her decor in Phoenix. So she had assigned tables at dinner. So we didn't have half the guest table cards. I didn't have half of my table's table numbers. I think she had like maybe favors or something that was supposed to go on the table. That box didn't show up. I think she had like, I don't know, something for her welcome table. Those things were kind of irrelevant, but like you're going to have assigned seats at your dinner table and I don't have 50 to 60 of them for a 100-person wedding. So it's already like a stressful setup. And then I don't have these things. So I'm automatically just like, what can I finesse? What trash can I use? What can I like figure out how to make table numbers and make place cards? And the tables that she did have, the table numbers were like, I don't know if you've seen them, but it's like stone that has been broken in really cool ways to like be a propped up table number. So it's just big and grand and beautiful. So she had, this is so terrible. She had photos of herself on the welcome table. So we took the photo out of the frame, we flipped it around to the back, and I just wrote like table numbers. So at least it was in a frame. So I put those on the table.
Mhm.
That's quick.
And then
That's
the
quick.
place cards were these long, beautiful piece of paper, and it had a black ribbon like right tied around it. And the name was like maybe at the top or at the bottom. So I used scissors. I cut them in half. So now it was just a short little stubby thing. And I took off the ribbon off of half of them. So it was every other place card got a ribbon. And then I hand wrote from the seating chart the people that I was missing.
Oh my gosh.
And so like that's just like you gotta work on the fly. And so I told the photographer, I was like, do not photograph that side of the room. Focus on this side.
Do not photograph any tables over there.
No.
Oh my god.
Thankfully, you have really good handwriting. That's another gift that you've
But
got
when
in your
you're like
arsenal.
stressed for time, you're like, I don't know if I wrote this person's name right, but I'm not even gonna double check. Like it was wild. And that's just something where I'm like, I didn't know that I had to remind someone, hey, before you leave, make sure that all of your stuff is in the car.
Yeah.
So now that has happened once,
Yep.
I have put that on my
Always.
checklist.
It's on
to be
your
like,
list.
okay, it's the Monday before your wedding. I'm going to remind you of all these things. Like, don't do it.
How long is that checklist that you have created over the years?
Oh, it's long.
Yeah.
It's long.
Yeah.
Because I've also just like I mentioned, like you observe something once that doesn't go right. And you're like, all right, so that I never, ever have to deal with this again, I'm going to just forever mention it to everybody else. One of those moments, one of those instances it was my first wedding ever. It was that couple that had booked me after 3 months of like working at that venue. First wedding ever. Their mid-ceremony moment. And they say, okay, the officiant says like, okay, they're going to read their own vows. And the groom pulls out his vows and the bride her eyes get so big. And she's like, I forgot them in the room. And so I drop all my stuff and I'm racing. And I get into this bride's suite room from the venue. And I'm like, I don't know what bag is hers. I don't know if it's on her phone. I don't know if it's tucked in a pocket somewhere. And I'm just staring like, I can't help her. Like I tried, but can't. So now I line everybody up and I'm like, okay, I verbally say like, who has the rings? Who's responsible for those? Do you have the vows? Is it the officiant? Is it the best man? Like who's holding those? So it happened once. It'll never happen again.
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous.
See, people, this is why you need somebody on your wedding day
Exactly.
to be doing all of these things.
Correct.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
One of my girlfriends from home, she at her wedding, she forgot the ring for her husband in the hotel room. So
No.
her bridesmaid, her maid of honor drove back to get it. It was at a winery, so it wasn't like that far. So
Sure.
but someone drove, left, came back, so it started like 30 to 45 minutes late because we were
I think
waiting for
I
that
actually,
ring.
maybe years and years ago, I had a situation, and I don't even know if it was one of my weddings, because I've assisted throughout the years, kind of as another side hustle. And I feel like they didn't have the groom's ring, and one of the dads, it was either the bride's dad or the
Just
groom's dad, was
lent
like,
them a
"Here's
ring."
mine." Yes.
See, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
That's a better, well, it's better than fishing wire, right?
True.
Easier
True.
to put on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how
Can't really
did
see it.
you, I was at your wedding. I
Mhm.
was not at Libby's, as we've already established.
Mhm.
But how did you use all that you learned to make your day special?
I planned the entire thing. I barely asked for my husband's opinion because at first he was like, just do what you want. Like, I just want this music played. That's fine. So I planned every element of it, but I really wanted to be very intentional with our people, because I have seen weddings where they're so focused on the photo element that they want. It's essentially like a wedding photo shoot where they don't spend very much time with their guests, and they're just like, oh, I need the sunset. Oh, I need, I don't want to see my person before walking down the aisle, so we're not doing a first look. And so every photo has to be taken after the ceremony. And I've seen, you are separate from your person until your ceremony at 4:00 in the afternoon, or if you're doing a first look, 2:00 in the afternoon. And so I really wanted it to be about us together, because that's what marriage is. It's togetherness. And then like 90% of my people traveled in, and then like 100% of his people traveled in. So we didn't want to see people from dinner until the last song of the night. So we planned a welcome party the night before, and it was very casual. It was just like a picnic in the park, and everyone was welcome, and most people came. And so that was really fun that we got to celebrate with them. After the picnic in the park, we took our bridal party and like our close friends to the brewery that we had our first date at, which also happened to be the place that he proposed. So first date, proposal day, and then wedding weekend. So just to have like a little beverage before bed. And then wedding day, we had our bridal party get together, and we had breakfast together. So we saw each other at 9:00 in the morning and just relaxed and enjoyed. And there wasn't such an emphasis on like, we're going to spend 6 hours in hair and makeup, and we're going to, not be with each other. So we did that, got ready separately. I think we spent like an hour and a half getting ready, and then did the wedding. And then the next day we had a brunch for all the family members. So it was very intentional, just to be very family and friend oriented. We didn't take very many photos. We just wanted
Didn't you
to
do a photo shoot like a couple days after?
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah.
Which
It was
I thought was so smart. I mean, I know you went
Yes.
out into like the hills or the mountains, whatever you refer
Yeah,
to them
yeah.
as in Arizona, the desert. But like, I
Yes.
thought that was so smart. I mean, yes, it requires the effort of like putting everything on again and trying to make sure it looks very similar to the actual day, but
Yeah.
like then it doesn't take away from the day.
Yes, yeah. So it actually was the very next day. So
Okay,
we went to
it
brunch
was.
in the morning, and then that evening at dusk we called it like an adventure session. So we went out there. But yeah, so the dress is sweaty, and I don't want to stick it back on my body. His suit reeks of just how like sweaty and truly how much fun he had the night before. But it worked out because like I did my own hair and makeup. So I just copied the same thing the next day, and it was very fun. It was nice, like again, just to be with family and then like take our own time.
That's
You
such a good
mentioned
idea.
that-
I love that.
I love it too. And you mentioned that, you think that people should invest in a good DJ and MC for that reason. What are the two most investments besides the rings that you think are important in the day? Like to me,
Yeah.
I honor the DJ. I totally get why that's important. But for me, it would definitely be videography and pictures. But I also like the idea of the pictures don't have to happen all that day too. So where is
Yeah.
the two best places to put an investment in?
That's a
I guess
really
it's
great
hard to
question.
say too, because the venue matters a lot too. But like, what are the most important
Yeah.
things? Like really?
My answer is very different than I think what other people decide on. Because to me, you can get married in a dress from Macy's. You can buy a fake ring off Amazon. Like those things don't necessarily matter. I think you just have to like feel beautiful and focus on like the fact that you're marrying your honey. People put a big emphasis on food and the bar. I don't think you need food to have a wedding. I think that they're going kind of different directions where we're seeing a lot more morning weddings, like brunch type. We're seeing a lot of like weddings that start at 6:30, 7 o'clock, and it's just like dessert there. So it's not a full-on dinner. So for me, truly, I think that like your DJ/MC, which should be the same thing, they are your voice. They are the ones on a microphone giving all of your guests direction. They're trying to keep them entertained. They are making announcements off of your behalf. And then they're the ones keeping you engaged, whether you're like big dancers on the dance floor or you just want, some ambiance music or something. So I think that that's the biggest investment. I think that photo video is huge, done in an intentional way. I think there's a new style out that's more like documentary style.
Mhm.
So it's just, they are constantly snapping photos of you, hugging your aunt or you, putting your own shoe on because it's a little wobbly or something. Like it's not so posed. And so you don't have to like schedule out time to do all of your wedding photos because those moments happen naturally and then they're being photographed naturally. So I think photo is one. I will say, like, as a wedding professional, I didn't book a videographer, and here we are almost 2 years later and I'm like, man, I should have. So if you're on the fence, do it. Because I would rather like have spent the money and been like, whatever, but to not be like, oh man, I wish I had it. Just because the emotions of the day, like it was so fun and so beautiful. And to be able to look back on that years later and see those family members or those friends that have, that aren't here anymore or aren't in your life significantly, just having that extra little something is really special.
The memes.
Yes.
The memes. Do it for the memes, folks.
I know we have to wrap here pretty soon.
We gotta wrap.
We can keep talking forever and ever. And
could.
obviously we'll have you back. Let's just change really quick to, you talked about the fact that if you could redo things, you might want to go more corporate, consumer, fun. And you did quite a bit of that with Libby and I over the years. In addition to after the magazine days, when we moved over to TV Land, we flew you up to help with several events there. Do you have a favorite event that was on the corporate consumer side that you were particularly proud of being part of or what you contributed to it?
Wow, that's really fun. I think, and maybe it's because it's the most recent, like 2013 was a long time ago. I had been a part of, was it 2 Connecteds? I think because I had my own professional business and was hired like after the fact, like not interning, I was given some more responsibility working those ones. And so those 2 events really stuck out in my mind with just the scale of it, the amount of people that attended, the amount of vendors. Those I think were like some of my top good, like fun memories of event world because it's so different from what I do now. And yeah, I remember like from internship, I feel like there was an aquarium opening. That was fun. I think there was like an open house theater like a theater had just opened, or they were like opening, it was like an opening night party or something that we participated in. That was a good one. Yeah, they're just so different and have different amounts of people and types of clientele that's very different from the wedding world. So
It
it's
is,
hard
but
to
I
pick a
think
favorite.
at the same time, though, the skills as the behind the scenes person are very transferable.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
And I would argue that you were really well equipped to work with sponsors, clients, different people, talent that we had from the station at the event because you were already used to working with the high emotion of people on their wedding day.
Yeah.
Do you both remember when the parrots got loose inside of the Paramount Theater? We had that parrot nonprofit organization and the parrots got loose.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
And if I remember correctly, it was during a commercial break, but like the parrot flew across the stage and took a shit and it like landed in somebody's beer. I think that happened.
Yes. Oh
I
my
think
God.
it
You're unlocking
did,
memories.
Yeah.
Or I've just told the story so many times and embellished it so many times that is now the story. But I
No,
think that's pretty close.
Yeah.
I think
That's
that's
how
pretty
we
close
remember
to
it
what
now.
happened.
That's the story
Mhm.
now.
That's the
That's
story.
so funny.
Well, Bethany, where can people find you if they want to hire you for any kind of events?
Yes. Our website is pinkbubblyevents.com. I am on the gram. I'm on TikTok. I have a Facebook, but it was hacked. So probably don't DM me on there. You could send a text, an email. All of that is found on our website.
That's amazing. Libby, do you have any final questions or thoughts for our dear Bethany?
Just that we love you and we're so glad you came here today.
you.
Can't wait to
Thank
see you in
you.
person soon.
I know.
And
I know.
maybe in the
Maybe
next year or
up
two, we'll be doing some bigger events that we'll have to bring you back on board for.
Heck yeah.
You just
Always.
never know.
Always.
Yes. Yes.
I think that's the
anything
thing about
that you
being.
two are a part of, I'm there.
Okay.
I love
Sweet.
that.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's the thing about events is once you have the bug, like they never get old. They're always fun. They're always
Yeah.
crazy. Things always go wrong.
Yeah.
But it's that high at the end of the night or the next day when you know you crushed it. Like,
Yeah.
that's always what I do it for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's a wrap on this episode of Beats Working, winning the game of events. If you've liked what you heard, we hope you like, subscribe, follow, and we'll catch you the next time. Thanks for listening to Beats Working, winning the game of events, where we explore what it takes to make moments unforgettable.
If you're leaving with a little more inspiration, a little more perspective, and a big side ache from all of the laughing at our funny jokes, then we've done our job.
Beats Working is a Work P2P production. If you've enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platforms.
Your support helps us keep the magic going.